It made me think about a conversation I was having with a guy. So you remember I went to the men's event. It's like a gathering that happens every quarter where a bunch of guys just gather together of all ages to what they call fellowship.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, the subject matter of modern male and female relationships came up. I just noticed that a pattern has been emerging on the male side, which is a thought process of it is what it is. I had a conversation with a friend of mine recently, actually, and I don't think people realize that they're thinking from an "it is what it is" standpoint, and so it's like, what does that mean? Oftentimes, things can get better or things can change, but we assume that the reality we're experiencing right now is the totality of existence possible, especially if you make it about yourself. So if I went, let's use a real it is what it is, right? I am between 6 foot 6'1". And that isn't it is what it is,
All right,
unless
it's
some
nothing
kind of right. So I'm not going around, man, I wish I was 6'7", and that's a legitimate it is what it is. It is what it is usually falls within biological categories. So things like height, bone structure for the most part, things of that nature. It is what it is. But when it comes to results that have to do with us getting things from other people, meaning I want to make more money, or I want to change the shape of my body, or I want to attract a higher quality women. I want to encounter women that are solid, and whatever it is. Some maybe you don't want solid, right? Whatever it is you're looking for. Because that's a dynamic experience. Like static experiences are your height, your bone structure, your blood type, the color of your eyes, things of that nature. But then dynamic experiences are interactions or relationship-based outcomes, meaning to make more money, you need to have better relationships with people, give them what they want in exchange for money. So more money is a relationship problem. Right? Either the relationship with yourself or your relationship with the customer or whoever you're serving. This getting rid of loneliness, which is a big thing within a lot of men, or I use the word suffering from loosely. That issue is relational. It means I can't get the type of people I want to hang around me, or the type of people I want aren't around, allegedly. And that's something dynamic. That's something that is not fixed, right? Unless people are arrogant enough to assume that they know what everybody on planet Earth is like, and have evaluated everybody. Well, actually, that's not even planet Earth. Let's say everybody within their town. Let's not even go city, town.
Yeah.
And everybody there are no quality women, there are no quality men.
And it just is what it is.
It just is what it is, and they draw what are called false conclusions.
Right.
And from these false conclusions, they build their life on a fantasy, not reality. And so it's like, okay, well, I want to make more money, but because of the city I'm in and because of the economy, can't do it. So it is what it is. Let me just figure out a way to get comfortable and settle into the reality that I'm forced to deal with. I'd love to meet an amazing woman and, start a family, or You know, I want to have an incredible friend circle. And let's say it's a guy that's actually tried, because you have, you know, those who haven't done anything. But let's say it's a guy who's actually been putting himself out there, and after 2 months of trying, no results that are adequate to what he wanted. And so he deduces two things. One, well, you could say three things. One, the 2 months that he took and the amount of effort that he put in is enough time to determine whether or not something is real or false.
Right.
Meaning, if I haven't met anybody, I've gone out to a bar once a week, let's say, for example, for the past 8 weeks, and have yet to meet a woman that wants to be with me. And so one assumption he has there is that going to a public setting 8 times is sufficient enough to determine whether or not this is a reality or a fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
So I've deduced that this is a fact of life, right? And, you know, that's very unscientific for a lot of reasons. You could go, oh, well, you know, what am I supposed to do? Keep trying? Well, that's the only reason we all exist, because people kept trying. The fact that the internet exists, light bulbs exist. What was it? Thomas Edison said he tried 10,000 times to invent the incandescent light bulb that powers so many things and makes so many things possible today. And so, yes, you do try again. And so, one false assumption is I've tried the adequate amount of times necessary to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And so because I've hit the human limit, there's no point in going the 9th time. Mm-hmm. I'm at the human limit. I know it as law. It is a law of the universe that me, Billy Bob, cannot and will die alone. Mm-hmm. Right? So that's one false assumption. The second false assumption is that, let's use the one that's lighter, and then I'll do the heaviest one last. The second false assumption, or could be many, the second false assumption is that all the people that I have encountered are in a mental space to be receptive of what I'm looking for. So if there's no alteration in the places we go to, if there's no alteration in the you could say, we'll say that one for third. If there's no alteration in how far out of our comfort zone we're willing to go, right? Because I could go to a place I'm used to going, and I'm like, well, I've, done all I could. And so they assume they've done all they could in terms of time, and they assume all they could do in terms of volume. So let's say when they go out, for those 8 times they spoke to 2 people that night. But there were a variety of opportunities that could have turned that 2 into 12. In the difference between let's go out 8 times, speaking to 2 people each time, let's assume they're women. That's 16 people. So the sample size of 16 people goes, I know it all. There's nothing else for me to know. And I've deduced that is a scientific fact. Me, Billy Bob, cannot meet a person. I'm a loser. And they draw these conclusions about themselves off very little information. So let's say we ramped it up to, instead of 2 a night, let's say it was 10 interactions. That turns the number from 16 to 80. 80 people.
Right. Sample size got bigger.
Right. And the bigger the sample size, the more accurate the data. Mm-hmm. Not to say you could draw a conclusion from 80 people, but you would have a far bigger pool to choose from to actually say this is aligned with reality. Mm-hmm. And so the time horizon, right? Who's to say a year isn't what's required? And who's to say it's not 10 people per day? Right? Who's to say it's not twice per week? Right? Because any skill that's developed requires effortful investment. There is no skill in the world. If there is no if there's no effortful investment required, then it's what we call a talent. Mm. right? And even talents require effortful investment in order to become mastery. And so if you're shit at something already, meaning you have no talent in it, and then you put low volume effort, and then you're like, where's my results? And so the final false, so the first two, not enough time invested, not enough effort investment. But also, I think the most important is that they assume they know everything they need to know to get the outcome. Meaning I have all the knowledge required to be good at this skill. And so that would look like no level of reflection on, okay, maybe I am doing all the volume, maybe I am doing it for a long time, but the things I'm doing, the things I'm saying, the way I'm dressed, how I smell, all these factors, they assume that they're everything they could have been in that moment when they quit. Right, meaning I have hit the limitation of my potential. And I've hit the limitation of my potential. I'm the best man I could have possibly been.
I'm all I could be.
And so I'm all I can be right now. Know everything I need to know. There's nothing that I don't lack in information. And because I know everything I need to know, right, it's the world. It's the dating scene. It's marriage. Insert, it's the economy. And so within the conversations I was having with those guys, it became evident to me that a lot of people assume they know more than they do and are walking around as victims without realizing it. I remember talking to one of the guys, and I was curious as to, he wanted to improve his, he was a good dude. I could tell he's like, wants to die alone, right? So I was like, what do you think your biggest challenge is? What do you think your biggest challenge is that's stopping you from encountering the kind of women you desire? And he actually responded with saying there are too many of them. So I was like, okay, so is it a thing of there are too many options and you can't pick? But he was like, no, it's more like you don't know which one to invest in because there's so many that could be invested in. So I was like, well, wouldn't that be a better problem? Mm-hmm. Meaning you'd have more options than, the one woman in town that is single or at your church or whatever that looks like. But more importantly, we can extrapolate that to the guys saying there are no good women left. Or I don't think what these guys realize is they're assuming the things that we're talking about. They assume that I've done everything possible. And they assume that I know everything that I would need to know to get the outcome I desire. So the reason my 3 last situations didn't work out is not because I lacked understanding or knowledge that contributed to the failure of that situation. It's no. I did everything possible. I was a good guy. And oftentimes a good guy, unfortunately for many guys, is a misconstrued concept. And so that's a whole other conversation, but to not leave anyone hanging, a good guy is not the guy who gives a woman everything she wants whenever she wants it. Right? The conditioning has assumed that a good person is someone who gives somebody they care about everything they ask for. Right. But if we thought about that for 3 seconds, right? Let's say I was a parent and my daughter she's 3 years old, she wants candy. She doesn't want to go to bed, and she wants to stay up all night and watch cartoons. Based upon how I think many men unknowingly think about it, they would go, okay, well, if she wants it, then she's supposed to get it. And that's true love. But a greater understanding of love, especially masculine love, is the ability to say no for another person's greater benefit. It's the ability to draw the boundary and go, I love you enough to say you're going to bed at 7:30, to restrict the amount of candy you eat, because I have the long-term perspective to know, because I'm a male and I'm going through the wilderness, and I've ideally been going through the wilderness of life. If you haven't and you've been sheltered in the house and you're 30 years old, then we just have some wilderness exploring to experience, because truth be told, you're undeserving of a leadership position for a woman, right? She's had more wilderness exploration than you. She's gone into the unknown more than you have. And so why would she follow your leadership? Why would she become that soft state if she can't trust your leadership? Right? The only reason a person follows someone is because they can take them somewhere they can't take themselves. Right? Or they can take them somewhere that they could take themselves, but it would be an easier journey if this other person showed them the way. Right? It'd be a smoother trip. Could I figure it out? Yes. But this person has navigated this path before, and it'll be a far smoother trip. They can do this in their sleep. And so when a man develops that kind of competence, naturally the woman will, for a lot of different reasons, right? Because it's in their best interest. It's not complicated. Now, what's complicated is developing into the man that's worthy of that, right? And that's where the issue comes of, I'm everything I could have been. And it's not everything I could have been in, going back to the daughter example, where the point of your development is for the woman's appeasement or to please her. No, you develop into everything you can be, because what else is there to do? Right? Because everything we experience in this modern world is the result of a man or a woman going, okay, I failed 9,000 times at trying to invent the lights. Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to get this piece of metal to fly in the sky, and it's crashed, and it's all these reasons why I should give up. Right. We're moving out and about on horses, but I just have this vision of this mechanical device that can move faster than a horse, and anybody can own one, and it can. And all those inventions have transformed our reality today. Right. But what if those people had gone, reality is just not, right, if they allowed themselves to become a victim of the circumstances that they felt like they were forced to deal with, many of the comforts we enjoy today, many of the connections we enjoy today would have been impossible. This video would be impossible. Yeah. And so when we go back to the example of the daughter, when a man, particularly masculine love, I won't go into all that, it's a bit too much, but you could say masculine love is expressed in a way where our highest priority with the people around us is their highest development, right? Not how they feel. How they feel matters, but it's not the highest priority. If your daughter's feelings supersede her growth, then you're going to give her the candy. But then the question is, well, why do so many men capitulate and just, as they consider them, nice guys, but why do they just fold? Why do so many guys struggle saying no, even when they know it's not in the best interest of their partner? Mm-hmm. That's because there's only one reason. They're afraid of what would happen if they said no. Yeah. Right? If a dad has trouble saying no to his daughter, the daughter goes, "Oh, Daddy, you don't love me," throwing a tantrum. Yeah. Right? And he goes, "Oh my God, please stop throwing a tantrum. Here's the candy." What he's done is reinforce negative behavior in his daughter. What he said to her is that my no means nothing. Mm-hmm. And it's more important to me that you don't cry than it is for you to develop into a proper adult, a proper child,
And now that child don't even trust your word. In the case of like a relationship, it's like your word has way less value now.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that partner knows you fear losing her more than you love and want her growth. Right. It's all about yourself. I think that's the misconception a lot of good men have unfortunately misconstrued, is that to be someone good means you have to intend at the bare minimum for the maximal development of the person that you're with.
Right.
And the maximal development of the person you're with is never dependent upon being fearful of if they'll leave.
Mm.
If that's your North Star, if you will, if everything is, what if she leaves? If everything is about, what if she leaves? And you can gauge by asking, okay, how many things do I actually do as a man, if your guy's in a relationship, or he's dating a woman? How many things do I do that if I was not concerned about her walking at all, I wouldn't do?
Yeah.
Meaning, where you guys went to eat.
That remind me of like the event that passed, and you like, I'm not gonna go to that because I know if I go, I'm not gonna be in the mindset of blank, blank, blank.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me to go, it'll just be like me just being there. And so that's something that you wouldn't even go to for your own people. So
Right.
So it's like that thing where it's like, okay, because I could have potentially,
Right.
but it's like, oh, what would I go? What would I do if I wasn't afraid to lose said woman?
Right.
So
Right.
yeah.
Because that could, there are plenty of guys, man, I don't want to go to the whatever the thing is, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to go to the symphony. And there's a natural reciprocation that can occur. So it's not a case where it's this is important to her and she just wants you to support her through it. You can make sacrifices. What is a relationship if you can't make a sacrifice for someone?
Right.
If everything is transactional, then there is no love there, right? One of the greatest expressions of love is what you're willing to sacrifice for someone else.
Right.
When it's transactional, when it's business, you're not willing to sacrifice anything beyond what you're getting back.
Yeah. That makes
Right.
sense. Mm-hmm.
So, obviously sacrifices will be made, but there's a balance within that as well, where you can't lose yourself in the fear of losing the woman.
Mm-hmm.
And many times guys lose a woman to what they perceive as the bad boy, not necessarily because women like men who mistreat them. It's less that, and it's more that the attraction, let's put it this way, the repulsion a woman feels from a man that fears losing her and constantly allows himself to become somebody he's not, just out of fear, is so disgusting to a woman on a core level that she'd rather, if she had to choose, be with the guy who is fully himself but is a dickhead.
Yeah. Facts.
So it's not nice guys or you gotta be a dickhead or an asshole or all that nonsense.
It's about being yourself.
It's about being sovereign over your own action, unapologetically,
Yeah.
right? And looking for alignment, not acceptance. Right. A guy goes around and seeks acceptance. He sees a beautiful woman that he doesn't know because he can't know her. He's never met her.
Right.
You don't know someone based on their look. So you may like what she looks like, and that's fair. And so he may go over to her, and immediately it's a game of how can I get her to like me? How do I need to posture myself? Let me say this joke, and he's pinging to see, oh, is she liking this? Is she liking this? And every expression of himself is pinging to see, or centered around the question, who do I need to be for her to be receptive to me.
Yeah.
And so men will often lie. They'll spend money they don't have, or take women to places that they don't really want to go. And we've all made this mistake because we just, we have to grow out of it. And agree to things that they don't actually care about or value. Let's go to a Michelin restaurant. You don't know this one. And so, they do these quote unquote nice things. And then let's say after the first date, the woman, after he spent on a $500 dinner to impress the woman, hoping that this would be what she wanted in order for her to like him. It's more important for her to like him than to find out if they're compatible.
Yeah.
And so every aspect of himself, he's trying to show her a good time. What does that imply? It means I'm willing to change myself into whatever she'd say yes to.
And that's a big reason, I feel like, why when it get to a certain point, the woman, like, down the line, the woman is hit with a surprise of like,
right.
This is actually who you are. Oh.
Right.
And it's because of the facade that was being put on in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And that's why it's many, going back to the original thing of the guy thinking he knows everything there is to know. I was going to say from clients I work with, but I'm saying this sincerely. I will say that, but I'm not saying that from a place of whoever's listening to this is from some kind of you're going to be able to work with me. Frankly, you probably won't. You probably can't, if I'm honest. However, from the free content, a lot of what will be coming out will be offering the kind of knowledge that would allow for harmonious, long-term, high-quality relationships.
Right.
And the foundation oftentimes is the rocky part. Guys don't exert effort long enough to develop a skill set. They don't do enough reps to develop the skill set. And they think they know more than they do. And so many of the complaints today about the dating market is just a bunch of guys who lack information. But it requires a level of humility to go, I don't know what I don't know. So what if the outcomes I'm getting, if I'm continually seeing a pattern, then maybe I'm the common denominator and maybe it's a result of something I don't understand yet.
Yeah.
And so that humility is what's lacking. It's I'm everything I could be. I'm that relationship fell apart and I know everything there is to know and it fell apart. So if I know everything there is to know and it still fell apart, that means it was a woman. That means it's the modern woman. That means it's just women today. That means it's feminism. That means it's just the dating market. That means it's just the streets. Mm-hmm. Not understanding that, particularly as a man and woman dynamic, a big part of the version of the woman you get is dependent on the man you are. Exactly. Right. And so if the man you are isn't all the man you'll ever be, then there has to be a level of accountability and reflection to go, okay, how am I contributing to this cycle? And do I know everything that I could know to change that? But what we see today is a bunch of guys going, the modern women are too impossible to please. The modern women, they've become victims. So what they're saying is that I would want a high-quality relationship. I would want a high-quality marriage. I would want a family. However, women today aren't allowing me to make that happen. Mm. And I'm a victim of the women today. Yeah. The dating market won't have mercy on me. Right. And give me a chance so I can fulfill my destiny. And so they're walking around going, I'm out, man. not understanding that what they're saying is that I am too powerless to get the outcomes I desire in life. I am too powerless. The market, the economy, oh my goodness. I wish I could have, I have to wait until the world shifts before I can, and it's this consciousness of, I would have gotten what I wanted if it wasn't for reality. And what guys don't realize is that when you allow that kind of thinking to seep through your mind, you've become nothing more than a puppet on a string. Right? You're a puppet on the string of the marketplace. You're like, oh, I see this, but... And that's why I go back to thinking all there is to know is known. Thinking I have all the skills possible. Thinking maybe 99% of your outcomes have been because of a blind spot you don't even know you have. But the quitter's mind has become more commonplace, and we guise it in we disguise it in the under the guise of protecting my peace. Right? The reality is a true sovereign man who has mastery over his thought and emotions doesn't even have peace grounded in a woman to begin with. That's not where his peace comes from. Now, can a woman bring chaos into your world? Of course. Right? But even within that selection process, to assume that every woman, just because it's the modern times, 90% of them are chaos and destruction, is beyond arrogant. Right? Again, this is assuming that I know all the data size. I've been with every woman. I've been everywhere there is to be, and I know everything there is to know. And so from that place, I know how to make the ultimate conclusion about what the world is like, which is insanely arrogant and delusional.
And I also think that men even feel more so like that because of all the stuff that they seeing on social media. So they're like, oh, I'm experiencing this, and also this man is experiencing. So everybody getting their little pieces of, oh, this is what dealing with women is like. This is what reality is, when day to day, like, it's not true. It's like,
yeah, there are a variety of men with information that those guys do not have.
Yeah.
Right. And so the only thing that stops, well, let's think about what is everybody after in life, right? Everything we want in life is on the other side of a good relationship.
Right.
And so it's like, what if you want money, if you want a car, if you want a woman, if you want a video game, if you want to go to Tahiti, it's irrelevant. Every desire that somebody has right now, the only reason they don't have access to it is because of something they don't know. It's because of something they don't know, meaning the number one thing denying a person access from an experience they desire, no matter what the experience is what they don't know. But if I think I know everything there is to know, so when let's say I want to go to $1 million a month. If I want to go to $1 million a month, I could go two routes. It is impossible to get to $1 million a month. Or my industry, I'm a victim of the industry. I just can't get to $1 million a month. Or I could go, there might be something I don't know that's blocking me from getting to $1 million a month. Right? And so, depending on the pathway you go, that's the reality you're going to create. If I assume it's just a market problem, right, that could be truth. But I really have to get a lot of data before I know that, right? And I have to really go and explore the information that I don't have access to by going to people that have the reality and experience that I desire, right? But that knowledge thing is everything.
Right.
So we don't know, that keeps us stuck, not what we do know. Because what we don't know is infinitely greater than what we do. And it requires a level of humility to go, maybe I'm not everything that I could have been. Maybe I'm not everything that I could be right now. So the outcomes I'm getting in a certain area of my life is a result of what I don't know, what I can't do. So I need to know more, and I need to become the person who can do more. Right. But this sense of the economy, women, it's like, yes, those things may be forces and factors, but there's still people out there that, in spite of all that, are thriving. Right. So the question is, what do they know that I don't? Mm-hmm. But it just depends on what you want to experience, because then you can also throw in a blind spot and go, well, it's because this guy's incredibly buff or incredibly let's use things that can't even change, because you can change your body type. It's because they're super tall and they're something. But most things that are affecting our relationships are dynamic. They're not things that are static, like height. You got to go, are there short guys that are getting great relationship results? Are there short guys who are making money? Right? Are there short guys that have amazing shape? Are there guys in a wheelchair that are happy if it's a fulfillment thing? Mm-hmm. But you're going to find what you're looking for. So if you don't want to make any effort, if you want to feel comfortable in mediocrity, then naturally you're going to go, well, I'm not where I want to be because of forces outside of my control. I'm nothing more than a puppet. I'm nothing more than a puppet. And so it's just, I'm not mad at those guys. You mentioned social media being a factor in them being exposed to what they're exposed to. Yeah. But the blind spot is that they assume that what they're seeing is all there is to see. Yeah. Right? Trust me. There are so many things that a guy does not know that are contributing to the outcomes of his life. But he has to want to know. But to want to know, he has to swallow his pride and go, man, I don't know everything. It's hard, right? Especially if you think you're very smart. Yeah. It's like, man, maybe I don't know everything. Maybe there are things that I could know that I don't. Maybe I'm not doing everything I could do to get the outcomes.
Right. It's just taking accountability for your own outcomes.
And facing reality first and foremost.
Yeah.
It's just the hardest part. Mm-hmm. Right? If you've, imagine, and I feel for these guys, right? Imagine it's been 5 years and you just felt like, man, it is what it is. I'm just one of those guys that will just never get whatever the thing is they desire.
Mm-hmm. And they created their reality around that.
Right. When the entirety of the time, it's a little bit of information could have shifted their entire trajectory. Mm-hmm. And one of the worst thing and the best things that could happen is for them to see somebody just like them getting the thing they want. Mm. Because at that point you have two choices. You either hate on them and go, man, he got lucky, whatever excuse you want to justify, or you could go, dang, I'm inspired. Or you could go the third option, which is, man, there's someone else like me winning. And go into apathy and go, man, I'm even more of a loser than I thought. Yeah. I'm even more incompetent and incapable than I thought, because there's evidence of someone that is even worse. You know, I'm 5'7", he's 5'2", and he's killing it. Right. But it's not fair. But it's not fair. There are guys who are taller than me that can do it, and Yes, you're right. You're right. Now what? Because it's still not a case where you can say you don't have access to the experiences of life you desire. It's just that it might be more challenging. And that has its upsides too. One of the things I've always been grateful for is that in the beginning I never had the level of skills that I was expected to. And so I had to invest the time. Right, I was scared of approaching women. I had to invest the time. I had to invest. So I was curious about learning everything there is to know. Right, and that took me down a pathway where I see guys from, let's say, college days, high school days, that Back then, I was like, man, they get it, right? Right? They know how to talk to women. They know how to whatever. And I see them now, and the it's one of those things where big fish, small pond, and how I used to always describe it is that it's like feeling like, man, because you're the big fish in a small pond, you think you know everything there is to know. And you develop an ego around that. So you actually don't want to know if there's anything you don't know. Because then you're going to feel like a small fish.
Mm-hmm.
And so you actually want to blind yourself to anything that's beyond the pond.
Right.
And in reality, you're probably a 5 out of 10 in understanding.
Mm.
But you don't want to know that. And so you're like, you feel like you're a 10 out of 10 in understanding, or you want to believe you are, even though the results of your life don't mirror it. And so they go, man, it is what it is. The situations I'm experiencing, the problems I'm experiencing, it is what it is. That's just life. And they get stuck in that place because of pride and ignorance. Right. And I look back and I'm like, man, what a blessing that I didn't get wrapped up in my own ego.
Right.
Because the lack of ego that, or the humility, I should say, I wouldn't say it's a lack of ego, but the humility I had to face because I just couldn't do it. I was scared. I was a coward. Couldn't do it. The fears I had to face and the skills I had to develop took me to a place where I'd write this one up anyway.
Took you to a place.
Yeah, it took me to a place where I'm so blessed and grateful to be able to curate these experiences just cyclically and help guys, solid guys, good dudes, like actual good dudes. They're just like a little bit of information.
Mm.
Break out of cycles where it's every 2 years, every 3 years. They're with a woman they're super into and then it always falls apart. And it's like, man, I just want to build a family. Or, cases where, it's like, man, my wife's about to leave. Right? And sometimes it's too late.
Mm.
Sometimes it's too late. It is, depending upon the foundation that was built. But it's just really critical. My goal with this information is like, guys, make sure your foundation is sound. Always keep learning. Right? Never get so arrogant to assume that there's nothing else to learn. Because you will pay the price for what you don't know. Reality doesn't care. I believe it was, I think, Ayn Rand who said you can ignore reality, but you can't ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. Atlas shrugged. And we're in a space now where men are trying to go their own way and become unnatural males and point the finger at women and go, the reason my reality is the way it is, the reason women are treating me the way they do is a result of all on them and nothing on me.
Yeah.
I'm a perfect man. I know everything. I'm a great man. And the fact that I'm not getting the quality of treatment I desire is a 100% result of the women. And I'm a victim. It's not my fault. There's nothing for me to change. And so it is what it is. And I have never met a guy that was in that situation where after 30 minutes, if that, I can see why he's in the position he's in. And if it's a situation where it's a cyclical breakup situation, I don't care. Tweak this thing, this false assumption, this blind spot. Oh my goodness. How did I get this far in life?
Right. It's like a eureka.
Mm-hmm. But those things are to be embraced. There's none of us know everything about anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
None of us know everything about anything. And it's embracing that beginner's mind all the time, no matter how much of an expert you feel like you are. And that was a hard one for me to learn, and I have to learn it over and over again. But for the greater good of humanity, frankly, you're right. There are a lot of guys going online going, we're doomed. We're doomed. The modern woman doomed. Oh, my modern woman. Yes, there are shitty women out there. Yes, there's shitty men out there too. Like, there's nothing. There've always been there's no reality where everybody's perfect at the same time. People have their own growth and development to go through, as do I, and as do everyone that you encounter. Right? It's unfair to assume or expect something of someone that you can't even give them. Unless it's something like, like penis and vagina. You can't. That's something you can expect from someone that you can't give them. Going up, how can you ask me for vagina if you're not going to give me vagina? It's like, no, that doesn't apply there. But in general, it's like, hey, you got a point. But in general, you don't want to go around going, you need to be perfect while I'm imperfect and flawed, especially if you're the leader. And I'm talking to my guys tonight. But yeah, man, what I'd leave y'all with is like, understand if there's a cycle, there's something you don't know. There's probably a lot you don't know. And if you don't know it, then the cycle will never end. And to forfeit and go, I'm out the game because I can't win it, still won't give you the desire you desire. And it won't change your life. Your life will get worse. You will live with regret. There's no way around it. Again, you can deny reality, but you can't deny the consequences. You cannot escape the consequences of escaping reality. And this is what masculine love looks like. It looks like, hey, I'm not going to lie to you. Right? It's compassionate correction. No agenda. No nothing. It's just about, hey, you can do better than you're doing right now. You're not enough. You're not enough. And paradoxically, you are enough. Right? And we'll close out with the understanding of what that means. From a potential standpoint, you're enough. From a reality standpoint, you're not. Because potential is the absence of reality, and reality is the absence of potential. So there has to be a moment where there's a decision made and say, okay, I have enough potential, but I'm not enough in action. I am not enough in what I'm producing. And own it. That's where we're going to leave this podcast-ish thing. But more to come. Subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.